Stacy, is Jessica gonna be here or just you?
She's coming, she's printing some things off, so.
All right. Okay. So I'm calling the meeting to order. This is Virgin Town Council meeting Tuesday, November 18th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Calling our town council meeting to order. And the first thing is the Pledge of Allegiance, and anybody. If not, we will stand up and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Okay, does anyone have a conflict of interest with anything that is on the agenda tonight? I'll start with April. No. Paul? No. Me? No. Missy? No. And Val? No. Okay. You guys are not going to believe this, but I've got to review all of the minutes that are on this list here, and you have the consent agenda to approve the minutes. Any motion for the consent agenda? I move we approve the minutes from June 11, 2025, June 17, 2025, July 9, 2025, July 15, 2025, and October 21, 2025. I'll second it. All in favor? Yes. Yes. So have you guys had a chance to, any of you have any reason to review the checks and invoices and any questions on those?
I did review them and I asked, Crystal some questions and answered. There was one on there that I didn't get an answer on, that Virgin Commercial LLC.
That is literally, they have made they have put some money in as, what do you call it, a bond. And we release the money back to them.
Okay, so I thought it was interesting that the GL associated with that was the Deferred Revenue Virgin Acres.
Yes, I've asked them, because, Hittenberg to please change the name of that GL account. Okay. And they have not done it.
Oh, what would the name be then?
It should, I think it should just be, something like bond, it's by the way, there's so if we have multiple developers. The first one we ever had was Virgin Acres, which was over there on the street that, you know where Deb and Steve live, or, okay, there was a subdivision down at the end of that road. And, that was for that.
Okay.
And they put it in as Virgin Acres.
I never asked about Virgin Acres. Many.
And I've asked them to change it, but there's one other thing, and I was gonna ask you guys if any of you have looked at the financial statements that are on the SharePoint folder? Briefly. Okay, because you know how in the past we were going through, we would do quarterly budget amendments and, I would go through, because we would review the budget, we would look at the lines and go, well, why is this individual line on the budget? And Candace one time said, you guys don't need to go line by line. She said, just look at the total down at the bottom, and how are you doing compared to that? That's all she cares about. And I said, okay.
That's all she cares about, that's not all I care about.
So I just thought I'd just point that out, just,
And I know
that's
what-
what she did.
And I understand why she said that, because she's looking at the bottom line of the total, and this woman's was good, but I'd like to see if there's any trends that we need to think about.
Well, right now, there's only one that I noticed is way out of line, and I've asked Henry Burdick to fix this, and they haven't, and when we did that land swap with, with Michelle, they put that land purchase under parks. And I'm like, no, it's a capital outlay, but it's not for parks. And so it makes our parks look like we spent $350,000 on parks when we maybe spent 10.
Keep bugging her.
So, I just wanted, in case any of you read that up, that's what that is. That was an error that has not yet been fixed. despite-
So where would that go?
I don't know, I'd have to ask Candace where it would go, but it would be elsewhere in the financial statements, which is a wrong, category. It's got nothing to do with parks. Okay, moving on. So, the planning commission chair, Darlene, you're going to report on planning commission.
So, we had a very short meeting.
That's what I did.
I don't even think it was 40 minutes. And that is because even though we had, 3 items up for public hearing, we had no additional comments on the continuing CUP and nobody present on any of the 3. So that went very, very quickly, and we only had, one, item to vote on, and that was, the open space amendment. And we sent that to you with a recommendation to approve. And then we had an update from Riker on those sensitive lands, and we looked at the map that he has created. And we will be continuing this discussion tomorrow, and Riker will be present. And that's it.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, not for me. What do you prefer?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Jay Lee is not here to do his his report from the Southwest mosquito abatement, but his handout is in everyone's file. Okay,
So I just wanted everybody to know that there was a couple of interesting things on that, if you could get through it.
okay,
They had talked about them having a 3D printer and that they made their own tools, like the foggers and the sprayers. I mean, I just thought that was really pretty inventive.
My son works for him,
Oh, yeah.
and it is the things that he tells me, it's amazing they come up with.
Wow.
so how big is
They
the
don't
idea how big
track
their
the-
printer is? Must be pretty
Well,
big.
well, not really, because they just build parts of it, but usually 3D printers like,
Because we have one, so.
yeah, no, like ours at the school are kind of in between, but the bigger industrial ones, okay. They've got some bigger ones, but it's really neat, I wish people, it's cool, the inventions they come up with, they build their own traps and.
They actually have quite a bit of money in there.
They do.
Oh, yeah, the mosquito abatement, yeah, sometimes when Jay does his reports, he gives us the financial statements, like, they got some money.
Yeah,
They got some money.
They noted here that they've got like over about $1 million. Do with that money, but I guess they spend it on mosquitoes, right?
Well, maybe if we can think of some special needs and versions for mosquitoes that can have them spend money on us.
Good idea.
Okay, next on the agenda is going to be Stacy, and Stacy came to me about a month ago, I think it was. And said that she had been approached by someone who wanted to revive the town's princess pageant. And I said, okay, I'm giving a little view.
Oh, okay, do your thing, it's fine.
And I said, okay, I didn't care. However, what I didn't understand at the time is they're going to, the town is to sponsor this and put some money in toward it. So I asked Stacy to come and talk to the town council, because I said, I just think this was, doing the princess pageant, was something I should decide on by myself. So I asked Stacy to come and do a presentation to the town council, so Stacy.
Okay, so I do apologize. I was presented this opportunity yesterday before my dental appointment, so, Yeah, so, and then Jessica was gonna come and bring some copies. It's something fairly new. Back in April, when I was asked to help with the events, I reached out to Laverton City and Hurricane City with their event share people. And I asked them what helped make their events successful in their community, and they told me one of them was their pageant, their royalty, and their youth council. Now, we don't have either one of those in our town, and there are grants for us to spearhead a youth council, and we're looking into that. And there are opportunities for royalty, and that pageant can be whatever we choose, we want it to be in this town. It can be based on service, it can be based on GPA, it can be based on what we want to base it on for our royalty. We were originally wanting it to be Zion Canyon royalty, because there's possibly about 20 girls that could be involved with this, but we'd have to reach out and get word, and by doing that, we would do a pageant tea. And that would bring them all together so they can find out information, because we haven't been doing this in the past, a lot of these girls don't really know what it's about. And we would let them know what it was about, and in return, they would represent us at the county. When we have the county fair, when we have the parades, our community would be represented. Also, when we have town events, they would help put on those events. They would help gather donations, things like that. And I think it would also help our youth feel involved in our community. So I guess I don't know what I'm here to ask is that we may be able to support our youth in these two particular things, but right now it'll be the pageant for sure. Again, we were wanting to get this started fairly soon. We're hoping to set up a Princess Tea on December 6th, and Jessica has kind of a fund paper of what she thinks that we're gonna need to help start it. There's obviously stashes, and is that it there?
The same one.
Yes.
Has she made any changes?
She's made a few changes, that's what she's making copies for, she couldn't get her machine to go. So, yes, she kind of went into more detail about like just some basic things. It was gonna be between $300 and $500 to get started. But the responsibility of the girls is to help generate funds. And also, we get so much in return. There's not a lot of people volunteering right now to help with our events. Talking to other communities, they actually pay people to help with their events. So we're really lucky when we have people volunteer. So if we can help this youth come and get these service hours, they can present these on their college applications. Speaking to Meredith Johnson from Laverton City, her daughter got a significant scholarship based on her service hours. And they actually said, we're really impressed in your variety of service hours in your community, not just at your school or, here and there. It was a lot of it serving in her community. So, do you have any questions for me or?
I do, so,
Go
yeah.
back.
so what age groups are we talking about?
14 to 17. That's what it's recognized by state, county-wide for them to progress. If they want to progress to the Miss Utah level or Miss America level, they all start off in their small towns. And most of these are town supported. I've never seen a privately owned, but that is our privately funded royalty. I think in order to be recognized in those levels, it has to be the community that supports it, the town that supports it.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you were wanting to go to the businesses and ask if they wanted to go. Because I know.
That was one of those things, yes.
I know, I'm not familiar with like princess pageants, but I am with the rodeo queen.
Mhm.
And they go a lot to get money from the businesses.
Exactly.
And they fund their, and then they have required events that they have to attend.
Right,
That's something that you'll be,
yes.
have a list of events.
They'll have a list of events that they'll need to attend for us. And if we were able to involve the other communities, which right now I know Springdale and Zion are not interested, but I do have a letter from Springdale. And I was gonna show Jean that, where they did say that they don't specifically want a Miss Rockville or a Miss Springdale, but a Zion Canyon royalty is something that could be possible. This is coming from Rick from Springdale.
This is from Rick?
The event from Springdale, he sent out and said, that possibly having us represent in the Zion Canyon aspect of it. I don't think a lot of people realize just how many youth we do have in our community, but we don't know how many are exactly interested yet either, because this is fairly new. And so we're hoping to have this tea and gather interest and see who wants to come and find out more about it.
So would you have like a queen and a first lieutenant, second lieutenant?
We can have, honestly, from what I've been told, we can have it however we want. There would be, usually there's a princess, the queen is usually on the county level. So it's a princess, first lieutenant, second lieutenant, and with congeniality, usually. They, we have a lot of, I know we've been asked if, well, what about, that's for this year, but what about for next year? And I've been told by, the events coordinator from American City, Meredith Johnson, that they have a little Miss Susie Snowflake pageant, around the Christmas time. And there's a lot of little girls from up in this area that come down and participate in that. So, I know that there is cliches or there's vibes about pageants, but I think we can make it what we want to make it. If we want to make it service-based with GPA, having to have, certain qualifications in order to be in the pageant or be a representative of our community, that'll be up to us to come up with those. And that's all new. It's all new.
Okay.
And this has kind of been a quick decision because it's the first of the year. I started in April and I wasn't even thinking really about pageants at that time. I was thinking about putting on the spring. So, I was the first person and I was putting on the spring and then the 4th of July and then the next event. So anyway, you had a question, Paul?
Yeah, are you coming with a specific request on dollar amount?
Not right at this point, and I feel like at first we probably will have to start off with donating and then let them build funds, just because of the time frame. We want them to start at the first of the year so they'll be on board with the other town community princesses, because they've already started some of their pageants. And I think it would give them an advantage to get started off with just being able to buy the basics of the tiara and the sash or whatever it is we decide for them to have. But usually that's what they have when they're riding in the floats or they're representing us in service projects for the county or our community. They have things like that they wear so that they're representing our community.
So this says crowns and sashes, matching the color, such as t-shirts. To me, I can't see anything like $1,000 or less.
But I asked another follow-up question to you.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, she's gonna hand these out to you so that you have that information.
Stacey, are you guys considering, because I know our area has different levels of financial levels.
Sorry.
So financial levels.
Yeah.
So are you guys maybe thinking of helping them with dresses and things like that too? Well, I know for parades and stuff, they always wear like a prom dress type of thing.
We may be able to get donations of that. I actually know a person that might be able to donate dresses or things like that. Yeah, I was just gonna say, one of them is over here.
Susie's Closet down there.
Yeah,
I just wondered.
they're known to do that sometimes. So I'm not saying that's a for sure thing.
Yeah.
But we don't have to require them to wear dresses. They can
Right.
come and they can wear just something that they wear to an interview. It's all based on what we want. Of course, in the parades, I think for them to feel a part of it, they usually wear a dress, a nice dress. So that's kind of a sample that Jessica could put up. And
So you
I
want
can read to you. Do you want a copy of this letter from
Rick? I want to
Yes.
see it, because
Okay.
that was.
Are you wanting us just to basically donate right now to say we will support the team right now and then worry about the rest? You'll come again
and then we'll come again and show you what the breakdown is. Isn't that what we're wanting, Jessica?
Yeah, we don't need to go over any budget. Your budget is really up to what you guys want to put in and what you want to do. Previously in the past, the budget for the royalty has been a total of $500 for pageant for accessories, et cetera. In the Laverton royalty, they have a large budget at current, but are still significantly less than other cities in the area. But I thought that they were more similar to what we would match.
And that's something they can build.
Right.
A lot of towns do give grants too, to princesses if they have served, if they have a certain amount of service hours, that's something that could happen in the future, but I feel like it benefits everyone, so. So yes, we're just asking, I guess, for support, possibly financially, but maybe use of the building to have the pageant. And to have the tea, to have the meeting, to gather information and possibly even, advertising for it, so.
In the past, I don't know if you guys ever saw before, we did have a pageant in the past.
I was
like
asked to help.
Yeah,
I
it's
worked
neat,
at it.
it's a cool thing for the girls, and it sends them in the right direction, it prepares them for public speaking and public presentation, it's really an awesome program. You guys just want us to
Well, they're
talk
asking,
about
they
just for the funds for the team right now?
what they really wanted when it came to me was, would we support having a pageant?
Yes, that was our main thing,
That's-
support having a pageant.
This is amazing.
That's the main question. Do we support having a pageant? I would express my opinion to, Stacy, but I don't know what, and I've talked to April, I know April's opinion.
I'll even volunteer to help.
Thank you.
Being good.
I'm wholeheartedly in support of the pageant. And if I was going to suggest anything, put emphasis on service.
Yes,
Because you're right, colleges look at the services,
they do,
scholarships do. And we're, as a nation, we're falling behind in people serving. So the best that we can do now is get the young involved
Right.
as soon as possible. And then I'm in support of having the pageant. And then I would be in support if you were to come back to us with a specific request of money.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to have us add that at a future meeting for approval,
perfect,
depending on the amount.
yeah,
And this
thank
letter
you.
says we can get help, that Springdale would help if we and request it from them too.
I would take this with a grain of salt, having talked with Rick more than once about this, but, yes, it sounds like, it just says, if you want financial support, bring it to me, we will talk to the town council about budgeting for it. That's what it says.
Yeah,
And that would be the other thing, if we did have the support of the other communities, the girls would be, of course, helping them with their events. And we do really try hard to not have our events on the same days, the same times. So anyway, I feel like our little upriver community gets overlooked a lot at the county events. I don't really see we're not representative like the other
We
other
don't-
towns and
We
stuff.
didn't have anybody, we haven't had anybody to be a princess for years.
And we haven't had an interest really,
Okay.
and I think because we're starting events, it started an interest, because we really didn't have consistent events either going on, and so, anyway.
So I have one comment.
Yes,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, it's okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to know what these dollar amounts next to the,
Oh, those are suggested, based off of the Laverne City. Road.
suggested what?
They give scholarships out to their royalties, she mentioned that before, I think she called them grants. So other city royalties offer scholarships, it is considered a scholarship program, but ours doesn't have to have one. If we want to go that direction, it can either be funded through the towns directly, or it can be, if we wanted to go work on getting sponsorships, we can create a scholarship through the businesses in the area, whatever we would like to
However we
about
choose to
that.
do
So
it.
there's not one set way of going about it, but that was a suggestion
Okay.
of the amount based on how much I think the participation in events would be for our area.
So, I'll reiterate my issue, which is if this is a scholarship program, then it needs to be open, male and female alike. We should not be doing scholarship program.
The scholarship program is actually based on something that's been run in the county for about 75 years.
I know, I
And it's
understand.
not, their specific program is not open to both male and female, that is kind of only open to females.
And
That
I'm just saying, this is my thing. It needs to be fair. If it's a scholarship, then if we're gonna do something for the girls, then we're gonna have to do a scholarship for the guys. I think it's wrong to do just for female and not male.
And we don't have to do a scholarship program, that's where we can choose, we can do that with the youth council if we want and involve both. But wait, Hurricane City has had males try out for their pageants, so. That being said, I mean, we just gotta decide what direction we wanna go in.
They can apply, but it sounds like they just can't on a county level. They can't progress.
Yeah, they can't progress on it.
If
I
a male is
understand,
doing, they
just-
just can't progress.
I just feel
that's the sad part.
I just feel we should not be supporting something that's just for women. That's,
Yeah,
I feel
understand.
on both
Yeah.
sides.
But there are scholarships out there that do only apply to certain demographics, and so it is all right in a term of that sense. If it's a program that is supporting specifically that regards.
which is not, that's not us, right, that's them, yeah,
I understand.
yeah, okay.
So one thing, since we have a limited amount of participants, girls, if you had 4 places and you had 5 people that wanted to be in a pageant, then we have to not.
We
You have
would
to be
just,
aware of
we
that.
would
make-
just fill the 5. We would
What's
fill
that?
5
You would
spots.
fill-
We
you would
had
fill-
5 participants try out, and we
Yeah.
only had 4 spots, we would just fill the 5
Okay.
spots.
We fill the 5 spots, yeah.
We
That
can
would
adjust
make it
that
fair,
way.
I mean, we can always use,
Completely set in stone.
All right,
Yeah.
that sounds good.
yeah. And we've done that with, I know in the past, sometimes we only had 3 girls try out, and then you got princess, first attendant, second attendant, so it was just between those 3 girls. So, anyway, all right, we'll get some financial, sounds like we're okay to proceed and just get some financial numbers to you.
Yes.
Well, yes, you've got 3 people on town council saying yes, so yes. Even though it's not on for us to vote on. It's not on for a vote. This was on for her to do a presentation, and then I figured I would talk.
Just a majority support.
Okay, that sounds good. I just need to know if I
Yes.
should move forward, I don't wanna step on toes,
No,
but,
the majority of the town council supports it, so you can move forward. Let's leave it like that.
okay, sounds
So
good.
you're gonna, so the first thing you guys are gonna do is do a T.
That's what we'd
And
like to
invite
do.
all the girls in the count, in this canyon area
Mhm.
to come to your T and present it, and then we'll see what goes from there.
Right,
Okay. Well, you're already doing your T here.
we would like to do the T here, yes, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, sounds great.
So when, if it were to go forward, when would you estimate, what's your estimation on when the pageant would take place?
In January,
Oh, at the end of
so
January?
that's why we need to, yeah, try to move, because we wanna get them involved, things start with the county,
Yeah.
really quickly. And so if we're gonna start, we need to start soon, so.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you.
So so you had a date on here for, what the thing you gave us was December 1st, so that's when you're gonna do the T?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the tentative date, that we had for, it was gonna be a Saturday, but the girls are kind of, getting busy this time of year.
No,
I'm back to things, and the Winter Fest is also that day, so. We're gonna get to a Monday.
So one thing before you go. You know, on this original form, we're talking about printing flyers, you need to be able to print flyers with invitations, which we're gonna send to all the girls. So, oh, there we go, start advertising flyers provided by the pageant and royalty director, which I assume is you, or is it gonna be you?
I've already started working on I put together a Facebook page, and I will try getting some other social media together. That's what the youth really, get on work. They see it more than they see, flyers, but I'll print off some flyers for the town hall and for the, wherever else we would like to say.
All right, okay,
Thank you.
you are welcome. Okay, so next on the agenda is open forum. So if we have anyone in the audience has something they'd like to say that is not on the agenda, then they can come forward, otherwise we will move on. Okay, so no open forum comments, so any council comments? April whole.
I'd like to just thank everyone that put their name in the ring to, go on to the election, and those that got elected, I'd like to say congratulations to you. And I would also like to thank Misty. I really appreciate your knowledge and your perspective and what you added to the council, and I think that you're going to be missed.
Thank you.
You have a lot to contribute. You did.
Thank you.
Oh, any comments from you?
Well, let's see if Chad has any. Tonight, there is competing against us starting at 7 in Cedar City is a presentation on House Bill 48, which is the one dealing with
Wildfire, I
with
mean, the wild,
the wildfires. Yeah, basically your insurance, ability for insurance companies to deny you insurance because of the vegetation around your house. So I wish I was there, but I'm not, so hopefully we can get a report on that. And I forgot to bring the exact numbers, but due to the hard work of Joe Decker and Bill Hoster, we got our EMS fee through the legislature. And so what that will mean is that on the sales tax, we'll use the proceeds of that sales tax to fund the fire protection and the reduction in property tax. Now, it's not gonna be right away because of the time to collect the sales tax. So we're looking 6 months and a year in the future, but you'll start to see that come down. And actually, I think the sales tax, and that's why I forgot to write the numbers and bring them, is lower than what we initially predicted would be. So, that issue, I think that's what it was. So the property tax is lower than we initially, not the sales tax, the property tax is actually lower than what we initially predicted would be. And I forgot to write what that figure was down. And I doubt if you have it on the top of your head.
I don't know the property tax.
Yeah. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think it's, well, I think it's a great. That sales tax is huge, and the 30%, that where we get a collection charge, I think they have to sort of offset the cost of the home, which I think is gonna be great.
And that was a big deal for us to get that tax. And I know Joe Decker and Bill Oster, I did a lot of work. And in fact, they were pushing to the very end to get that through. And there was a short time frame. We weren't sure if the governor was going to sign it. And they put a full court press on him individually, and they were able to get to. And I saw Bill doing it when I was at a meeting, actually, typing out a email to the governor saying, please sign this. And unfortunately, Bill, of course, didn't run for Leeds mayor. So we're gonna lose his great service on the fire department.
Misty, anything you would like to say? Valerie? Okay, so today I went to the DTEC meeting and we had a presentation on a transportation utility fee and the process in getting that through if we wanted to do that. And it was, they were discussing the fact that BNC road funds that we get are not enough to do road repairs in your town. And if we're only going to rely on that, it's gonna take forever to get any kind of road repairs done. So they had a presentation on this, how to enact a transportation utility fee. And they had this whole process. This one company did the presentation. And down here in Washington County, I believe that Santa Clara is the only town that has that fee in place. And how is that fee collected?
It's a fee, not a tax. And how do you ask, when is it assessed?
It goes on their utility bill. And so they had this whole process that you went through to determine what the fee would be and how much for residential versus commercial. And anyway, they showed how they had done that in Provo. and, how much money it ultimately brought into them. So it was an interesting thing. I mean, there were a lot of questions from everybody who was there. It's very interesting. But of course, the feeling for everybody was like, can you imagine if we did this in our town, the kind of pushback we would get? Because it's just another fee that would go on your utility bill. And,
But it's surprising sometimes that fee, I've seen it in other municipalities for whatever, is 10 cents, 25 cents, depending on the population and the time frame. It raises a lot of money.
well, this fee, like they were showing, was residential was $3.15 a month.
That could be.
Okay, and then others went up, commercial went up, and they had different levels of commercial. And one man who was there pointed out that for resort communities, and I was like, good for him. But he pointed out for resort communities, you've got the highway that goes to your town, that goes to the park. So a lot of the traffic that's coming through the town is on the highway, which is maintained by UDOT, not by us. And then a lot of the traffic is not coming onto the side roads, and if they stop the businesses, it's still on the highway. And so how would we, a toll booth collect, a toll booth, there you go. But anyway, it was a very interesting presentation, so it's something that we might think about in the future. I was thinking that if you guys were interested, I would ask the person who did the presentation to come and do a presentation for us so we can see what it is and how it ties into the process.
And Santa Clara has a lot more population than we do.
Yeah, but you go, their roads are in great shape, and I know because Rick, their mayor, has talked about this before at previous meetings about all the money that they get from this transportation utility fee that helps with their road work.
So
How
then
they maintain it, and it can only be used for maintaining the roads, and that's it. And they talk about breaking it down to pavement maintenance, this type of maintenance, but you can only use it for maintenance.
if that's similar to Folsom charge, something like that in Montana, but they call it the street maintenance assessment.
Okay.
But I assume it sounds like the same thing, as transportation utility assessment. You use it to maintain the streets. It was separate from the general fund tax. In fact, they also charged, a tree maintenance, and they combined the tree and street maintenance. And that maintained all the trees on the public right away. For that, so.
Okay, and then, one last thing, April is going to attend the presentation, the webinar on Thursday. Are you gonna do it? It was today. But there's one on Thursday too.
Oh,
There's today and there's,
Okay.
because there were a lot of people who would have been at this DTEC meeting.
So I
today.
tried to get on the one today and I was the only.
No, there were a lot of people there. There were a lot of people at the DTEC meeting that were not there. There was a very small DTEC meeting because they were all attending
I
this.
had trouble getting them on and.
So it's
one
noon.
participant, so I don't know what happened.
Okay, it's noon on Thursday. Okay. That's the Utah Trail Network presentation. And we had a little small presentation on it at DTEC today. So it looked really interesting what's going on
I
there.
guess anyone can Zoom if you want to.
And then how to register.
That's about through the league.
No, it's through
I
UDOT.
can send
Oh,
you
you
that,
got,
yeah, I can send you the link.
yeah, please.
Can you send it to me as well?
Sure.
Thank you. And then, I'll be going to the outdoor recreation grant workshop Thursday. That's why I can't do the Utah Trail Network. They have 3 things going on at the same time. Okay, so that's so much for council comments. So let's move on to our action items. And Crystal, you're up with the election gas. Oh, before Crystal starts that, I want to key something. Let me open this up on my computer. We get to item number. And then under the discussion items, on the agenda, discussion item number 4. that ordinance was, talking about uses not listed as permitted, recreational or hereby prohibited. That, when we get to that, I wanna know, we want to know how new code section 102507, how these two are gonna work together. And I thought I'd let you know that, now. So, we will be looking at that. Okay, Crystal.
So behind you is the official election canvas report. You can kind of see it. You can zoom in if that helps. So,
Yeah.
I got this from the county and not much has changed since I posted the last one, if you guys saw the last one that I posted online, so. As you can see, the Jean for mayor is the elected, Matt Spenlove is the eliminated for mayor. And town council, Valerie Wenz and Paul Louie is the elected, and Blake Spenlove is the eliminated. And James Keatsman is the elected, no eliminated on that one. And those are those votes on those, and you can see the amount of total votes that they received. On our second report here. And then on that.
That's the one we all signed.
Yeah, this is the one that you're to see and sign. Registered voters, we have 505 registered voters. And total ballots casted is 341, which leaves us with 67.52%.
And that's low for us, very.
That is probably one of the lowest voting turnouts we've seen in history.
In Virgin, for sure.
Again, these are the same voting percentages, it's just your actual percentage of votes. So same numbers, just your percentages. And this is the one that you guys will all sign and certify. These copies will get mailed to the Lieutenant Governor's office as well as the county. Get posted online, etc. This is the official report that the canvas sent over that was certified from the Washington County Clerk's office. So they certify the reports as well as ourselves, and we're just agreeing to their report. And these are the statistics. The introduction, this is just going to explain what a canvas is and all the state codes of what everything means. If you want to know what an active registered voter means, ballot, UCAVA, signature verification, all of these different things and the state codes. You guys will all have a copy of this as well. This is the breakdown and percentages of everything that we received. So as you know, the voter turnout is 67.5%. And the active voters was 505. This was the only voters that were the Friday before the election. So if anybody registered to vote on election day, that's not included in this number. Total mail-in ballots that we received was 334. So the majority of our ballots were mail ballots. And that they're saying mail ballots, not from the mail, but could be dropped off. So they were mailed ballots.
There were ballots that
Provided from the mail, yeah. Total ballots counted 341. In person, early voting, there was a total of 3 that did in-person voting. And election day, there was a total of 4 in our town that did election day. We had no provisional or UCAVA voters, emergency or disability. Vote history. Vote history is given 341, and does everything match? Yes, it does. We have no provisional ballots, so that number doesn't apply to us. My mail-in ballot statistics. Total challenged was 3. Total rejected that were not curable was 3. Unassigned envelopes 3. And
Did you say unsigned? Okay, I'm gonna say unsigned.
total, rejectable, non-provisional ballots that could not be legally cured was 4. And returned after received, by date, deadline date was 4. Do you guys have any questions on this?
I'm not gonna assume because that's dangerous, but going back to the first slide, what was undervoted, Matt?
Those are ones that were part of the count, but didn't vote for you.
Oh,
Well,
well,
it
no,
means they didn't vote, it means like they were supposed to vote for 2 and they
two
voted for
different
1.
ones. Yeah, that's what I want,
Yeah.
because everyone had.
Had one in there, correct.
So I think for like Jim, there was an undervote. Somebody just didn't mark his.
Did
box.
mark, correct. Yeah.
That's what I thought,
Yeah.
but I wanted to make sure.
Some of the undervotes for mayor, and there were some that the mayor part was blank. They didn't.
Blank,
vote for-
and not that they
They didn't
correct.
vote for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was my understanding.
You're correct. I'm gonna have you guys sign this and also, with the new state code, instead of giving you your certifications, during the swearing, we give your certifications now, and then you get your sign-in certification, when I swear you in.
Don't we have to vote on something? The town council's supposed to vote. to
You'll-
certify the
you'll-
cancer.
Accept the canvas, you're voting on accepting the canvas results.
Right.
So I'll pass this paper along with this blue pen.
Now that's like the military, you sign it in black, here you sign it in blue.
I didn't know they did that.
I'm sticking on my blue pens.
Okay, so, I make a motion that we, accept, is that the word, accept
Yes,
the election results
yes.
as presented by our town clerk, Crystal Percival, instead of Caitlin. Crystal Percival. I'll second. Is this a roll call vote or all in favor? You can all in favor. Okay, all in favor? Yes. Okay, so while that is passing along for us to sign, the next up is resolution 2025-L. We discussed, this is appointing a chief administrative officer and records officer in compliance with the Government Data Privacy Act. We discussed this at the work meeting and Mark presented a little bit to us about what the short presentation, what this is about. Do we need any further discussion on this? Do we need another presentation by Mark? Or are we ready to just vote on it? I have no comments. I think we can just vote on that. Okay.
I move for approval of resolution number 2025 resolution of town of New Jersey, Washington County to improve Chief Bridge Road with pedestrian and bicycle facilities.
No, that's really
Oh, that's right. I had it in my right hand and I was reading from my left.
Start over with your motion.
I make the motion that we approve resolution 2025L. Resolution of the town council of Richmond appointing chief administrative officer and records officer in compliance with the Government Data Privacy Act.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Okay,
Now I move for approval of resolution 2025.
okay, go ahead. I don't think we need any kind of discussion, we reviewed that, yep, okay.
For a second.
Oh, second. All in favor? Yeah.
And this one overall for the sign.
That's right, that's, yeah.
All right, Jean has the original on that one, so
Who does?
I have the original.
you can sign it with the same blue pen on that one too.
It's over here, let's go. Mine's purple.
Sorry to jump in, but I don't see.
No,
But
go
since
for it.
I messed up with my right and left hand,
You wanted to, you were ready to go.
I was ready to go.
pass this on to you guys to sign and then they'll come back to.
Did you sign that other one?
I did.
Okay.
Okay, next on the agenda is, the development agreement. So,
Before we begin on this, I got notice today from council for, the Palmers that they wanted additional time in which to review this draft, and so they asked that this one be tabled until our December meeting.
okay,
And I know that it was late coming to the council, so.
so what do you want to tell us about the development agreement?
Yeah, well, I would tell you, really, besides the recitals, it's boilerplate at the end, really what you need to be looking at is paragraphs 2, 3, and 4. And essentially 3 and 4, all that indicates is that we define the commercial use setback area, or the commercial setback area, and which is 400 feet off of State Route 9. And they agree that they will not construct, operate, or allow any use within that setback area other than the permitted uses under the commercial zone. And if they desire any conditional uses, then they acknowledge they have to seek an additional conditional use permit. It indicates the next paragraph 4 is addresses the issue of what to do with the remainder portion of their property, the stuff that is not within the commercial setback area. And it just simply indicates that upon the request of the property owner, they can request and negotiate with the town in good faith to seek an approved list of uses that would be memorialized by a second development agreement. And that development agreement, because it would be allowing or designating uses, would need to be treated like a zone, a rezone or a zone change. The development agreement would need to be reviewed and recommended by the planning commission after a public hearing. And then come to the council. It indicates that because of the very nature of what we're trying to do, that the uses listed in commercial, either permitted or conditional, are not necessarily those that can be requested, but only those that are allowed in other zones within the town. So you couldn't come and request an industrial use or, you know, something like that, but they can propose and we have to negotiate in good faith. Any agreed upon uses have to be reduced to a second development agreement, which gets recorded against the back portion of part of the property.
Okay, so I have a question. On paragraph 3, it says, owner may construct, operate, and or permit any use within the commercial setback area.
That's defined up in the recitals.
Yeah, you should probably read the recital. Good.
All it does is kind of give the history of how this came to be, what owner owns, and how it was. There was a division of land waiver approved and recorded, split into 2 parcels, and then when they came to rezone, they amended their initial zoning application, seeking commercial throughout, and there was some question as to whether or not they had to comply with this commercial setback area requirement of 400 feet or not, and that it was conditioned upon them agreeing to only commercial uses in the first 400 feet, and that being reduced to a development agreement, and it just kind of spells out and it defines single terms.
So I know at the town council meeting last month, when we approved the zone change subject to the development agreements, or September, actually. It was September, not last month. We talked about development agreement number 1 for the first 400 feet, development number 2 for the remainder. And,
When they determine, they.
yeah, when they're ready.
When they're.
And so Mark and I had a meeting with Brightburg the other day about some other things, and we mentioned what was going on with this property, because they're doing a new zoning map for the town. And so we discussed this zone change. And he asked, why are you doing 2 development agreements? Why not just take your first development agreement and just amend it when you're ready to do that? I thought, well, I don't know. So I wondered, because we
However,
refer to
the first development agreement applies to both parcels. You notice that originally it was one parcel number, and then when they recorded the deed to do the division of land, with our division of land acknowledgement attached to the back of it, the county assessor's office took the original parcel number that ended in 222, and they created another parcel that ends in 226. So we have both those legal descriptions, and say this concept, this covenant not to do anything commercial beyond 400 feet, except unless we agree to it in a subsequent one, applies to both parcels. And it actually applies to the back half of the first parcel.
Yes, right.
And so we needed one, and then the second one is not going to apply to, that front area and won't be recorded against it.
Okay.
That's why 2, but I'm sure we can figure out a way to do it as an amendment to the first.
Okay, I just thought I'd throw that out there. By the way, paragraph number 4.
Yeah.
It talks about 109A-503 on the next last line, which is now some other number. Because they renumbered, the codes would be 10-20- something, so I think.
10-20-508, parens 2, parens A, parens 3.
Okay.
Just making it easy, so he doesn't have to look it up.
You were here, and he just wanted to.
What's that?
Yes. I was teasing you, she was here, and you went up dirty.
One of the.
Apologize, it's okay, I just.
What I- And.
So you would already know that. I
What
said.
I did. And, Crystal sent,
I just want you guys to recognize that amendment, that numbering system went into effect on the 6th of this month.
yeah.
Yes.
So like now.
Oh, I found it by accident. I
It's gonna sell that at the keyboard.
I found it by accident.
Understood.
I found it by accident like 5 days before it went into effect. I was looking for something and I couldn't find it. And I saw this, I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
They renumbered everything.
And Crystal sent out saying that I noticed that the development agreement was in SharePoint, and that we should really only concentrate on paragraph 3 and 4. And I said, you can't tell an attorney that, the guy doesn't know. And
Well, my point was that everything.
Everything has
Pretty much boilerplate, we require it to basically be.
But I do want to give some kudos to you, because I love your paragraph H and K. Those are very well drafted. I think I would use them if I was doing these again. They were very good. I do have a question about paragraph 4. And it's only because I was used to being in a very litigious community. And I think of all potential arguments, no matter how ridiculous they are, because somebody will file a ridiculous argument, they won't win on it, but then we're spending money to defend it. When you look at the first paragraph, the first thing it says, upon request from the owner at the later date, the parties shall negotiate in good faith and enter into a separate development agreement. I can see somebody arguing that you have to enter into that, but then I think your last paragraph sentence down here says, no, you gotta go through the process. If you get a chance to amend it, I would say just delete and enter into, because we have parties shall negotiate in good faith, a separate development agreement, then you have the language of it.
Oh, just delete and
Yeah.
enter into.
If he gets a chance when he's talking.
We probably will, based on the fact that their attorneys did a review of it after being sent out yesterday, late afternoon, and they were like, we need more time, we'd like to. And they expressed some concerns that I don't know if I fully understood, it came to me by email, something to the fact that they wanted to make sure, they wanted to know what would be the zoning should, I think, the second development agreement not be agreed upon. And I said, well, talk to me, propose and let me know. So they're like little piece of changes. Possible.
And that acknowledges the fact that they can't make the ridiculous argument that I'm suggesting.
Yeah.
Because they want to know what it is that we deny that agreement. Can't come through.
So I had a question on H,
Yeah.
recital H. It says that requesting that the subject property be rezoned from rural residential to partially commercial.
Remember, they went and they divided the land and pulled off that funky shaped parcel and wanted it, gave it a different number. When you look at the map, remember
And
that
they
parcel
wanted
was
to
divided into
stay
two parcels?
rural residential for the time being. They want,
So why don't we just leave that rural residential for now and then they can come back and talk to us about
because we
zoning
would
later?
split zoning of a singular parcel, and I've never advocated that we should so hard to enforce. Usually zones or zoning designations should run along parcel boundaries and not through the middle of the parcel.
Right.
So that was the key reason.
Okay, so what's that, this is saying is on that parcel. It's rezoned from rural residential, partially commercial with other, but it doesn't.
Let me get the map, I have a copy of the map,
We can,
I still have all my stuff from, here's September speaking. Here's, isn't that we're only allowing the first 400 feet,
So-
right? They, remember,
That's one
this,
parcel number.
no,
April.
this was one big parcel.
April H is giving the history. They had come to, their initial zone change application showed a split zoning of the property.
Right.
And we said, hold on, before we'll process and review this, you need to split this parcel into two, which then they did. And while they were doing that, we adopted
The 400 foot.
the 400 foot.
Right.
And they
And then they sought to amend their initial zone change to making it all commercial. And we were like, whoa,
Yes.
we can't, so if you read H in a vacuum, that's only talking about prior to the division of land. Prior to it being split into two
So
parts.
you're saying that
This
H
map.
is saying that.
Yes, H is saying
Commercial.
The initial
And then-
application.
This is
You notice the
commercial,
recital.
they wanted this to be commercial, and they wanted this to stay residential.
I thought you were referring to the 400 feet split on that one parcel. But isn't this just addressing that one parcel that we have?
Well, he's just giving the history, all of that is giving the history, saying this is what happened.
Because the initial application was different, and then they came back and redid it, so he's just pointing it out so it doesn't become an argument point.
Okay.
Okay,
We table this item until December regular meeting.
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Okay. The next thing on the agenda that we are going to vote on has to do with how we're going to proceed. There is no resolution or anything prepared. And Heath, you can tell us if we need to prepare a resolution. I don't know if we do. But we talked at our work meeting about how to proceed with the closure of, a potential closure of Pottsville Road. And, when we first started this, I can't remember, it was 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I had like a open house town hall type thing. And a lot of people that live on Pocketville Road, and a few people that, locals that do not live on Pocketville Road, came to the meeting, and we took all sorts of comment on it. And I was going to have a second town hall and open house and decided not to proceed with it. And it has languished now, and so now we're bringing this back up. And so we were debating, I mentioned to the town council members about asking the planning commission to do the town hall instead of me, because I don't have time. And for them to hold a town hall meeting, and one or two, however they need to do it, and then make a recommendation to the town council about closing Pocketville Road. But I know under the state code that what they call the local highway authority, which I find funny that they call the highway when we're talking about a local road. But the local highway authority is the one that makes the final decision and holds the actual public hearing. That's in, I know I have it,
And that's us.
that's us.
Yeah.
But, that was,
And there's a little bit of a process of notice that has to be
Yeah.
required
right,
prior to that.
right, so we were just going to authorize the planning commission to do everything else. And then give us a recommendation what they've gotten from doing a town hall meeting. And, then it'll come to us to do the final actual public hearing and whatever else we need to do. So, do we need to do a resolution if we want to ask the town planning commission to do this, or can we just say, hey, planning commission, we want you to do this? What?
Oral resolution by motion.
So any discussion on this, guys? Because we did not talk about this the other day. At our work meeting, all we talked about was, public hearing, and need for public comment, public participation, et cetera, et cetera. And this is something that just came to me after the work meeting. Why don't we ask the planning commission to do some of this? Solve the problem.
Isn't planning and zoning holding another open house for the general plan? Can that be done at the same time?
Lee asked me that, and I said, I didn't see why not.
It could be, because initially when we did the initial comments about it, we actually included it in our town hall about the closing the Pocketville Road. It was actually with the, general plan, I believe.
Well, the other thing is that it would have to be, there's the transportation section in the general plan, and if we close the road, you're gonna have to amend that section of the general plan to talk about that.
Makes sense to do so.
Well, let me ask the
If
question.
she's okay with it.
Are we talking about closing it as a public right of way, but not abandoning it?
It'll have a cul-de-sac at the end, and there would be an emergency gate for emergency purposes, because sometimes we have things where we need to route traffic
Closing
that
it
way.
as a through.
Yes,
Okay.
Not abandoning the road, it's just
Yeah, I
closing
mean,
it.
there's another section of the Utah code about how you do that and who gets the portion of the road.
No,
we're not doing that at all.
We didn't know, when we all had this discussion, it was never to give up any portion of the road. It was just to close it, to keep it to local traffic.
Because I'd like to have a little park, a small, very small park up there where there would be the cul-de-sac.
Which may require some minor abandonment.
Well, no, the subdivision is going in there.
It'd be kind of on the side,
On the
kind of on the side,
For
because
the substation.
because we have to have the gate, we still have to have the emergency gate.
Yeah.
So. We're talking a very small park, we're talking very small, so people that are walking their dog can go up Pocketville Road, they can sit on a little bench, take some rest, and walk their dog back home.
It would be a pocket.
A pocket.
So do we need to address that with the cross committee?
For sure.
Or
So you were gonna answer the question about whether or not you can
So,
combine general.
Yes, we, Lee and I have talked about that, the chair and co-chair talked about maybe amending our draft. And that we wanted to have an open house so residents could preview the draft. And this could easily be part of that. if there's any applicable code, the commission needs to know, could you send that our way?
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
read it the right way.
No, there's not, if you're, receiving public comment at a public hearing on a general plan with regards to that aspect of the plan, and, there's no problem.
But if we have like an open house or a town hall as an intervention, is because it's open to the public and publicly noticed, does that count as a public hearing?
If it's done properly, with 10 days, 10 days.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a class 2 notice, that has to be given all you do to close session.
But I was assuming that these open houses are just an open house and doesn't qualify as a public hearing, but if you want.
Well,
to
and we
do
could
it,
follow up, because we
That's your
will,
choice.
it may be covered at the town hall, because we're just getting information, correct? We do need to have, after that, we plan on doing our formal public hearing on the draft, general plan.
So
And
in
we
that
could do it
sense,
then.
in that sense, it's a public meeting, no action is being taken at like
Yeah.
an open house town
Correct.
hall meeting. So that just, it's just one that, you know, either
And-
24-hour advance notice.
Correct. And then could we, I'd just like some guidance on how to incorporate the public hearing part, and we have the public hearing part for the general plan, so those two go together. So we do it properly.
Yeah. You can do one public hearing notice and have 2 items
Okay,
for public.
Does there
hearing. One, the general plan, and one is the closure.
okay.
But we still would have to hold a public, we would still have to hold a public hearing on the closure of.
Okay, so you're gonna deal with that, we're just dealing with the general plan, but we'll also have to take public input on.
You'll do a town hall and all that.
We'll do the town hall,
Yeah.
you do the public hearing.
We have to do.
We do the public hearing on the general plan, but we just get the news out there at the town hall. So I don't need the code.
Okay, so he said a verbal resolution.
Yeah, my motion, and I'm in favor of, as you know, as much participation and notice, so I do like the idea of getting into, planning and zoning. It goes and dovetails with their general plan, they should give us a recommendation. And that allows an extra hearing, and then we hold our hearing right before we members. I think that's great, it's a great process.
So I need a motion.
I move we authorize the planning commission to hold a town hall meeting and make a recommendation to close Pocketville Road.
And do we want to call it closed Pocketville Road, no, as Keith said, really, we're not closing it, abandoning it, we're making it, we're not, we're saying it's not a Spring Street. We're closing.
Closing.
Okay, that is closing.
So it's used for traffic, that's.
To every traffic, okay. All right, so second on Valerie's motion,
I'll second it.
okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so that moves us right along to the discussion items. Okay, so is there any further discussion? The very first item is on here, item number 1. We talked about this the other day. I am not drafting it up as an ordinance. Before I did anything, I just want to make sure that we all agree these are the only changes I am proposing to the planning commission section at this time, so to remove the need for a liaison and for town council to approve the rules and regulations. And those are the only changes. So
Well, my only question was, is if we're removing the liaison, should there be, because you were referring to Mark handling it, do we need to reference that in some way? Because you're calling it the public
Director of Public Community Development.
Yes.
I don't know that we need to say that.
But I'm thinking future, I mean, we understand, and even you guys will understand as long as you're here, but, I always think of future people that sometimes just don't believe that. So I didn't know if that was necessary or not.
What are your thoughts, Mark? Should we use?
I think That would
Just
be
fair.
appropriate.
Okay.
Make it more clear.
Yeah.
So then this should be revised, delete this sentence and then add a sentence about, that meetings would be attended by the director committee.
Yeah, something like this, yeah, it don't have to be like a sentence.
Okay, it is a sentence, okay.
Or you
I
can
think
take
that
out,
would-
that thing, you can even take out liaison and just put, leave it all in, and just change that right there to be a public, or whatever you call it. You'll have to really write in there. I've done it just by myself today, it was completely crazy, so.
All right, so I would make those amendments and put it in, for a vote next month.
Um,
Yes,
you wanna incorporate these in? You're gonna create an ordinance incorporating these changes
yes,
on it?
because it'll say now therefore be it ordained, blah, 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 and this.
I would, tell you, because this, section that's being changed is within the town Title 16 of the Virgin County.
Oh, it has to go to planning commission.
Has to go
Yes,
to planning
yeah,
commission
I'm
for
aware.
public hearing recommendation before.
Yes, it goes to planning commission next month. Yeah, I know it has to go to
Land
planning
use
commission.
ordinance, you involve the planning commission, we conduct a public hearing, and make a recommendation to you guys.
Thank you for pointing that out. I knew that, but it was slipped my mind during this discussion.
Good.
We did talk about that last week.
About it today, yeah. Okay, next is, an ordinance, this is the ordinance that was making some amendments to chapter 8, and yes, Paul, I spent an hour today on this ordinance to fix it the way you want, but I did not have time to upload it to SharePoint. But I spent an hour of my time fixing it to be the way you want the ordinances to be.
And I could have told you, well, if this is the last one, I don't care as long as we go forward, but.
It's okay, I've already done it, so.
Thank you very
So
much.
we will have it on our agenda next month, but are there anything that you guys, I will tell you one of the things that I wasn't sure I agreed with. On the Section 5, 8.26, amend the maximum height of accessory buildings. They're reducing this ordinance would reduce the height of the accessory building from 28 to 18. And I just wanted to point that out. And it's been 20 feet for a long time. Then the land suitability, section 4, talking about land suitability. What this apparently was taken 100% from the subdivision code, correct?
Yes, but we think there was an error there.
Where?
There, on the development field, we think there might have been a not, we wanted to go back and double check on the original thing we sent you.
Is it section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? The only one that talks about, proposed developments is number 1. All areas mapped as floodplain by FEMA, and other entities is deemed unsuitable for the proposed development under the flood damage prevention sections of Virgintown. Is that what you're talking about? See Lulu, chapter 22.
And it says, and shall be considered, and we think,
Where does it say and shall what?
I have to pull up the document.
Well, I've got the one that Lee sent me just like last week.
You don't see the words, the phrase development here on the house.
I don't see that in here about buildings.
I might be thinking of something.
Well, no, you're thinking, she said you're line 87.
What, line 87? Oh,
Line 87.
I was looking at the numbers.
Common open space in a subdivision, but shall be included, and I think you're saying, to double check, it might be shall not. That's what you're saying, right?
Areas,
I
okay,
just wanna make sure,
Okay.
okay, I can see it making sense either way, so I wanted to go back to, because sometimes when we transcribe these things into our code, there's mistakes,
okay, did you guys take this from the
Yes.
subdivision code?
correct?
Subdivision code is not online. If you guys copied this from
It's under the pending ordinance.
okay, so the ordinance, okay,
Recheck that.
okay. So you wanna check and see if that shall not be included.
But I think,
It's gotta be not, it's gotta have the word not.
Not.
Where are we,
We're at on page 5,
yeah,
line 86.
86 and 87.
Starting 86, areas determined to be environmentally sensitive may be included as common open space in a subdivision, but shall be included in the development yield analysis. I think it shall not be included in the development yield analysis.
no, it's always been, it's the way our ordinance has been, unless we're trying to change that and to close that loop. But generally to promote the non-development of sensitive lands, and to develop additional, types of recreational amenities like parks and trails and things like that. We have allowed developers to include that land in their calculation of development yield.
Okay, because then the next sentence says these lands shall be identified as an outlot or other designation that indicates that the land is not available for development. Meaning they can't build on that
Yes,
land,
non-development.
but they've been included in the development yield analysis. Okay. So, I'm wondering if this also on line 86, it says may be included as common open space in a subdivision. Do we really need to refer to a subdivision in this? Because we have a whole subdivision chapter. I'm just wondering if this is,
Well, this doesn't apply just to subdivisions, it's also applying to.
right, the land is not in a subdivision. That's why I was wondering,
Yeah.
why are we gonna refer to a subdivision?
To take out some.
Okay,
Are you wanting to?
No.
we'll
Because I have.
look at this. Say,
Are you, what are the comments are, because I have more comments.
oh, you got, everybody can go.
Okay.
Throw in
I
your
see.
comments. I just mentioned section 6 that had lowered the height of accessory buildings. And, I think, because I was reading all of this, because I was typing it all today to make it match your requested format. So, I don't know what other questions I have, but what are your comments?
Well, okay, so I'll just give a general one at the moment. So we're trying to allow two family, which, you know, we need to make some affordable housing. I understand that completely. But it also seems like at the same time, we're making room for it, but we're trying to restrict it as much as possible.
And I talked about, Paul pointed this out the other day, a 2-family dwelling in the village overlay. And we're not even adopting
Yeah,
village
and
overlay.
so, number one, that was my biggest problem, is it seems like we're trying to solve a problem, which kudos, I get it, it's great. However, we're trying to restrict it as much as possible. And usually I'm someone that supports, views and not changing heights. I don't like any heights to go up. However, in this case, it's 25 feet is what the standard structure gets to, the main building structure gets to be on the property. And we're wanting to take that from 20 feet down to 18 feet, and they're saying that 20 feet is excessive.
Oh,
It is
no,
not.
no, that's the reduction from 20 feet to 18 is just on accessory
Right.
structures, not the house itself.
Exactly, that's my point. The main structure is 25 feet. Now, to have an aesthetically pleasing area, you're gonna want 20 feet should be the option of the homeowner, because they can make their accessory dwelling aesthetically pleasing to the 25 feet with what we've already got. Why are we taking away 2 feet when their main structure is going to be 25 feet?
They actually have here is 22.
So if you look in here, it's not, if you look in here. So they're reducing it, that's the other part, sorry, that was my other part, I think I had that highlighted too. I do not support any change of height in this thing.
Okay,
Because it's already set and it's always been a good set for
the 25 feet.
community,
The
yes,
25 feet.
And I don't see taking it away. Now, if you were gonna tell me you wanted to up it, yes, I would. That would be a bigger fight, but right now, I feel like we're already taking things away, leave it be. I don't think that I don't think it should be adjusted down. It needs to sit 20 feet as is in the heights. I don't mind the structure, changing the size of the structure that you can have, and I like all the rest pretty much, it's just the height really bothers me. And then also, I didn't like where some of this, that says that we can't,
What page, what line?
now I'm on page 5, and I'm looking at, that section we just talked about, the land sustainability. The rest seemed fine to me, but this one right here, it was talking about that you can't build in the flood area, but if FEMA says you can build in it if you build up, why can't someone build there? If they deem that part of their property where they wanna build.
Are you talking
Number
about,
one,
are you talking about line 75, number 1?
yes,
Okay.
why, if FEMA says it's okay, why can't they?
Well, the way that FEMA says it's okay is if you get a letter of map amendment,
Right,
Paloma is what it's called, and, so technically it would not be in the floodplain any longer
Right.
after that law is approved.
but if
So
you,
by saying that, a sensitive land is anything mapped as floodplain by FEMA, I think we're still there and we can accomplish taking something out of that.
so
But
I'm
what
in
she's
the
proposing is that we
floodplain.
just lift it up.
I'm in the floodplain, yes. And what I am saying is that currently, if I build above the floodplain, I can build there.
Yeah.
So this is saying, the way that I read this is saying that no matter what, even if I build up or not, it was in the floodplain. My property was not built up, our home was built up above the floodplain.
And
So in my
So if you
opinion,
wanna be able
this
to
is,
build that.
I feel like this is, I mean, if I want to build up my land and I want to put, and we're using mine as an example, it's already there, I'm not changing anything, it's already there.
Yeah, but say you wanna build.
So I'm gonna use it as an example. We had to build it up. My husband had to come in and he leveled everything, he put out all the septics in and everything, but then when our home was brought in, we had to build above the flood, build the home up above the floodplain. This is eliminating that option.
This is similar, what you're talking about is similar to something I mentioned, with people that were wanting to build they came in with homes in Sierra Bella, and that were in the floodplain. And I said, you look at the homes in the areas that have hurricanes and floods and how they're up, and the only thing down below is like a garage, and the house itself is up, and so the water just goes underneath the house.
That's my point,
And I was like,
exactly.
why can't you do that?
If FEMA says it's okay, why are we, with our limited knowledge in our town, saying, no? But if FEMA's saying it's okay, they're saying, fine, go ahead, but you have to build up.
So,
So that's, I try not to have a problem with this whole ordinance, I try not to be super nitpicky, so those are the two places I'm gonna point out. Is we should not be taking away height from anyone who wants to build, that's a property, right, we've already got it set, leave it like it is. And then my other thing is if a federal government is saying that you can build there, as long as you meet their standards, we should hit that standard.
You can add that one exception into that next section.
Yeah,
Just trying to figure out how.
so if someone was gonna do that where they built up and where the water could just, and it doesn't even have to be high, it could even be just be like 2 feet, it doesn't have to be like you see it.
Yeah, like mine is up a foot, honestly, if you measure it, it's about a foot.
Okay, so some of these, because there's someone over here, who was gonna buy a piece of property right down here in the water stream. And he was in the floodplain, and I said, just build your house up enough that the water goes underneath, and you're good.
If you
But
look
does
at
that require a little?
if you look at the floodplain though, Linda's house her living room is out of the floodplain because she
To
built up.
be,
Linda,
What's my neighbor?
Yes, your neighbor.
Yeah.
To be completely technical, there are a couple different terms that FEMA uses. One is a floodway, one is a floodplain, one can be built and one cannot be. I think build in a floodway, not in a floodplain. Or excuse me, it's the other way around. Mark made a great point that, exception there, it requires two things, not to be in a FEMA mapped floodplain and deemed suitable for it. So, I think we can with some, and we may even want to reference the timing of when it's in the floodplain, because the mere fact that it was originally or at one point in time in the floodplain, but then you get that floodplain map amendment, taking it out. And you have to provide FEMA with plenty of stuff to get those lomas. And, I think that would help cure it too, is to say, only at the time that a building permit or something like that is applied for, does it need to be not in the flood map. And still being suitable.
If it's not in the floodplain, then it's deemed suitable. Right?
Here's the thing, I don't particularly want this council or our planning commission and council making determinations of suitability with regards to. So I prefer FEMA, and when FEMA says.
That's
you
what I'm
can,
saying, cause if you say that, if my house burnt down and I would have to rebuild my house and I would put in a bargaining, let's say, you guys are tell me that I can't build
Okay,
because
but
it's in a
my
floodplain.
point is that whether you keep both prongs or you eliminate the suitability prong and just say within a floodplain at the time you're applying for a building permit, not at the fact that it was in a floodplain at some point in time, like what your house is or was.
It's
If
still,
you get a LOMA and if you get the floodplain map amended so that your parcel is no longer in it, or a portion of your parcel is no longer in it, the portion that has your residence built on,
so you're,
happens
but
all the time.
an accessory building, I wanted you to build an accessory building.
Okay.
On
You-
any of the people that are over here, except I think where it ended, it's kind of funny where it ends. It ends over here at Larry's house. His house is out of the floodplain.
Really?
Yeah, they just amended it, so
Okay.
funny. And anyway, it's, Larry's house is out, but I mean, what you're telling me is all those homes over on this end and all the homes over here that are deemed in the floodplain. If I were to build an accessory building, my accessory building would have to come up out of the floodplain, and that should be my option. But according to this, it's a floodplain right now. I cannot build it. If I'm willing to put the money in, that's
Per the
my
current
problem.
building code, you can.
If I build up, you can. That's how we got all these houses. They had to build up.
Well,
The way I'm reading this, and I need to look at the flood damage prevention section of the Virgin Town ordinance, sounds like we already made the determination that if it's unsuitable for proposed development, sounds like we already prohibited it. So we need to take a look at what the flood damage prevention section say to make sure this complies with it. Because I think Mark is correct, saying it's already deemed unsuitable. Under the flood damage prevention sections, I don't know
I
what
think
those
it's
sections.
deemed unsuitable because it's within a mapped floodplain.
Okay, see, that's what I don't know until
What
I,
kind of reciprocal?
yeah, so it's a circle, yeah, okay.
I would tell you. The town has adopted the current version of the International Building Code. The International Building Code will not allow a building inspector to issue a building permit for a structure within a floodway. Okay?
Right.
And if you're within a floodway, you need to get a letter of map amended to do anything. Now, whether that was the same language of the building code when your house was originally built, I don't know.
This is saying floodway, it's a flood.
Well,
Floodway and floodplain are two
we have a
different
floodplain administrator.
Yeah.
And Jared is the one that we should be asking. He's got that stuff dialed in. He goes to FEMA conferences and knows that stuff like the back of his hand. I'm dangerous on this subject, but one of the two you can build up without getting a letter of map amendment.
It's the flood-
The other one, you have to get a letter of map amendment.
It's the floodplain, because I can tell you, the only reason I can tell you for sure is because when Jared did that, when they changed all of this section of the
Yeah.
river and they went and did it with FEMA, it's the floodplain that you can build in. It's not the floodway. And that's why I'm arguing it. The point is, this is a floodplain.
So are you saying that
So then
we should
we
have our
we-
floodplain administrator?
We want Jared to look at that, or frankly, with a little bit of a half hour research, I can figure it out and tell you whether we should be using the term floodplain or floodway, but
Okay.
one. She's suggesting that probably we might be using it the wrong way.
The wrong way. So in the meantime, our floodplain administrator is not Jared, because that was Tocqueville. He was the floodplain administrator of Tocqueville. Ours is Rodwell's. Oh, okay, because you keep saying Jared, I'm like, he's not our floodplain administrator.
He's one of very few certified floodplain administrators.
Yeah, so this should not be in there for floodplain if that's what it is. That's, cause I feel like that's a complete, we look like a river. Half our town is by the river. This is ridiculous. That's our thing. This is ridiculous.
So what I'm
If you
asking,
measure it, nobody would be able to build behind my house. No one would be able to build all the way down.
okay, so all I'm
We
asking
may be
is,
using the wrong term.
That's what I'm hoping.
she's saying that she thinks we're using the wrong term, should be floodways and floodplain. But what I'm asking is, and by the way, if this was taken from the subdivision code, then this is in the subdivision code. Doesn't you change it? Okay. But what I was asking is this something that our floodplain administrator should be making that decision?
As the administrator, he's the one who gets to make the final call on whether something is in a flood
Plain,
zone, a floodway, or a floodplain.
okay. What other things did you have questions about, comments about, Misty?
Oh, sorry, I started Googling, but okay, because I wanted to know. What is the other thing? The height limitations on,
The accessory building, but.
the exceptions to the height limitations with the. Where you can do like the.
Oh, yeah, the things on
The,
top.
the things on top. I have a problem with it because the way it's written, they can put them up. And they can use them and this one they're limiting it to, you can't go 30 inches above the height limits. But if I needed if I was building an arch or something to make my. We do have some eccentric people around us, and they like to do fun things to their homes. If they wanted to put an archway that was over the 30 feet,
30 inches.
so 30 inches. I feel like the first, and it's not what I'm taking exception to, because like I said, I don't like things going higher than what we already have set. However, I feel like it should be my pleasing eye to be able to move it. I don't think you should just look at somebody and say, you cannot put your chimney 30 inches above. However, if someone puts a chimney in a home that the pressure, they have to have a certain height above the home in order for the smoke to go up and not be vapors. So I might be using the wrong words, I don't know the preference. But, if you can't have it any higher than 30 inches and you need 60 inches to make that mark, you won't be able to have a fireplace in your home, but that's my right as a property owner to have a fireplace in my home. And this 30 inches is.
So the 30 inches is too low, so.
It is too low because, well, that's what I'm saying, I have a problem with it because I'm thinking in those terms, but I don't know what you would say to that. This is one that I didn't really have a suggestion for.
Okay.
But I could see where this, I don't like limiting it because there's several other reasons why not to, and chimneys is the first one I came with. And like, this is water tanks, well, if you're using gravity feed, you need a certain rate. And so I'm just, these are the things I'm pointing out, but I didn't really have a suggestion for this one.
Okay. All right, so there is, building codes that tell you how high your chimney has to be.
Right, but also in an area, it actually started a fire in my friend's house because she didn't have it high enough. And then the property above them was like this. And they didn't build their chimney up high enough. And it sucked it back in and created embers and their home built burned down. That's just an example, I'm just asking questions. And then, like I said, the water tank, you're using gravity feed, you need gravity. If you have to go higher than the building. So, I don't know.
Wouldn't that kind of happen in the design phase of building?
It would, but if you're limiting it to 30 feet, 30 inches above the 22 or the 25, the 22 in this case, because they're changing it back to 22. But if they're limiting it, then they can't build if they need 60 inches to make
So even what she said,
Hit
is
the height.
in the design phase, they're not gonna get the 60.
they won't get it, and then the guy will be like, I'm sorry, you don't get to have in your dream home, your open fireplace. Because your chimney cannot go high. And I feel like that's taking away from someone in their design choice. It's, again, it's just something pleasing that someone wants in their home and we can't have it now because we set it at 30 inches.
Okay,
So I don't really have a suggestion for that one. I feel bad for even mentioning it without a suggestion.
okay,
Because I should have had a suggestion for that, but okay, that's what that. And the rest of it,
okay, Paul and Nathan, you have, either of you have comments on this? This ordinance? Missy has made her comment.
I need to think about what Ms.
Okay,
Do we have a variance process that they can request a variance about that 30 inches?
we do. Why should they have to pay for a variance when their home design has it in it? It's not,
We can't leave it unlimited.
it's not.
we don't,
We
we
can't
can't
leave
leave
it
it unlimited, but
But there should be some wording that says, like, for specific things, like, unless required for, I don't know, how you would say, to control the smoke from coming back in your home, I don't know.
I missed part of your discussion, so I apologize, since I was going back looking at subdivision regs. How common is that, or that's gonna be affected, that 30 inches? So what are we talking about? A lot, or
Well,
small, or?
I don't know, it just depends on, the situation I'm specifically talking about, it just depends on the level. Cause like, my home, when I lived in Arizona, was also one that the property behind me with the land and everything was higher. And we were down in the dip, and I put in a fireplace, and it did suck, I didn't have my pipe built high enough. And it did suck the smoke back in my home in the middle of the night. And so for two people to happen, that was pretty common. But, the other part of mine is the design factor. You have to also figure in somebody's design of their dream home. They're building their home, and 90% of the people that move to Virgin are retirees or people who are moving here and slowing down.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if we change that limit to a different limit, or we let the variance process take effect in my process. So I'm trying to think the nature and the scope of the issue is all.
And my feeling on variance is if we're gonna let them if we're gonna make it and leave it at a variance, then. we pay for
remember,
it.
it can't be
So that's not, they shouldn't have to pay for a variance, that's.
you can't
probably
be variance
right.
when your problem is self-imposed.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's
And it
gonna
would
be
be
my
something
problem that I want,
That's your design.
it's gonna be my problem that I want my structure higher.
Well, now I see what you're saying.
But if I wanna build my structure on the side and I decide, you know what, my barn would be really awesome if it had a stargazing and it embraced these dark skies, and I wanna get up on top of there and check it out, right? But I wanna build a little cover over it, so that if it starts raining while I'm up there, I can pull the cover over. right?
30
That's
inches.
part of my structure. That's well above the 30 inches.
So,
98% of all height variances are gonna be denied because they're
Self-imposed.
Yeah, because that's my problem, but it's my dream home.
okay,
But
so
but
we
then
have,
I'm going to ask, we'll have to find the correct wording, because I can see where that could be used to increase the height of the building structure.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying, is, some of the wording in currently does support what you're talking about, but I can also see where this is coming from because of, I'm not gonna call out specific places, but there are some places that had their height and they went up and built, and it was aesthetically pleasing, which is fine,
Could we create
but that's a little high, you know?
like a deviation process, which isn't a variance, it's a deviation that allows a certain percentage of deviation that would then you put some standards on it and then would go to planning commission for approval or not. Because then you can deal with that design issue to do so. So you don't need the hardship, it's a deviation would be just approval via design.
I still feel like that is I just think that little section is a little bit of a violation of my, I always put it in my, because I'm advocating for something. It's a deviation of that, I feel like it's a complete violation of my property rights, because I'm building my home. And again, I'm telling you, this is going across against me liking anything higher than what we've already got. It's going against that.
I'm trying to balance the,
If it's a design or it's a design or something that maybe it can't, maybe there's a way to make it not a solid wall, or like if I wanted to build, like I was saying, a stargazing area, I would have 4 posts to hold up my canopy. So it'd be basically, in essence, it would be a pergola on top of my.
well, then you're starting to increase the road heights, is what I'm.
Well, but that's what I'm saying, is there's gotta be, I agree with you, there's gotta be a limit, but I should be able to build my little fence above that, so my little girl doesn't fall off.
Yeah.
You know,
okay, so,
So
Where I'm
we're
going-
create a deviation process.
okay,
something to look at.
so we're not ready to vote on this by any means. So do we want to, if we say table this, according to Mark, that means we have to talk about it next month.
If you tell me about what's on there, I will be here, and then I can watch that, so you know, we'll do that. Jim can deal with it.
But now you become a citizen and you can raise that issue.
No,
Okay, but so do we want, obviously, we're gonna table this till.
So we don't have a work meeting in December, is that correct?
That is correct. So we'll just, table this for, further discussion next month. I don't think we're ready to vote on this.
okay, this is no vote anyway, so.
Yeah.
So you're gonna make a discussion, no action.
Yeah.
I would tell you, I did.
I just don't think
Some
we're
quick
ready.
research, and, it would, for the sense purposes of designating something that's kind of per se, sensitive land, we want to use the word floodway.
Yeah.
Can you say that? I never get to hear my husband say it.
Floodway,
Misty's right.
so,
She just wants you to say this is right.
Misty, you are right.
And April already did that research in terms of being said, should be floodway.
And I Googled it, and right when we started talking about the other thing, it says right here, yes, with careful planning.
All it took me is to define terms on FEMA's website in the glossary.
Yeah, and it defines it right here, right after it says yes.
Okay.
AI defines
And I did look at the, when you were talking, I did see floodway in the old version of our subdivision.
Yeah.
And it's good as one point.
Well, they use both terms.
Oh, so then I won't take as much exemption, as much offense to it, we just need to change it to lake.
Okay, so we want to, table this the next month to continue for further discussion. I don't think we're gonna be ready to vote.
No, but we need to start working towards a solution from this seat.
I agree. I agree, we need to work toward it, but we'll be here for another hour.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
What are we gonna do?
I don't want to be.
But I don't want to come back next month and be stuck in the same locations, so maybe we need to.
I'll find something that maybe
Okay.
as well. I'll find something that maybe I feel okay about. Maybe we can look at other resort towns that have height limitations and see where they allow for exceptions.
Okay. So. Well, this is no vote, no
No vote,
action,
so
I don't
we
have to continue on.
Can I
Okay.
make a suggestion?
Yes.
St. George City on the height issue that you're talking about, they list things like these things, but say that you have to get a conditional use permit for a excessive height.
Oh, so then under our the new code section that I told you to read, 1025, 705 or 507, whatever it is. They would come in and apply for a new use.
That's
They
kind
come
of
in, do a
what I was-
classification.
Well, no, not apply for any use, what, like City of St. George wants to do, they want to look at everything on a case by case basis.
See, that's
Because you
what-
can make a
that's
general
what I'm
list of
saying.
things and say,
I don't wanna
hey,
make them apply for a conditional use, if we can look at it and go, well, clearly it's because their home is built lower than the land, yeah, so you know what I mean? It's-
So how is it written for St. George to do this on a case by case basis? Just a minute, Darby.
through conditional use, you apply for a condition. Oh, I wanna say conditional use, it may not be, they may not use the term, but it's a special exception permit or something for a height, and you see it when they have to put large refrigeration units on top of buildings and want a parapet around it, a wall around it, or things like that.
Deviation from that.
Okay,
What, Darby?
But I'm happy to find that section. of
Okay.
St. George
It's
Code.
just a different term than.
Or the same thing, but a different term.
Different term.
Yes, Darby.
It might fit under, the limited impacts CUP. And the other ordinance we sent you, it could be listed under there, which is a very streamlined version.
Okay, we'll look at that, we'll make a note here and look at that.
And also, the 22 feet from a home.
Yeah.
Is only for the two-family dwelling, because that would be a commercial, and that is the height limit in commercial.
yeah, that's, I hadn't finished that part, so.
Yeah, the other zones, would remain as they are.
Okay.
I mean, nothing's being changed.
But it doesn't, the way I read it, it didn't say limited to commercial.
So Keith, if we come up with a conditional use or deviation process, we would have to send it back to the planning board probably.
Because it's.
That's a pretty substantial.
Okay, yeah, and I haven't gone all the way through that part, but when I pulled it up, it said 25 in here, that's why I was questioning it. So I'll look again.
Okay, so this next thing, the next thing, item on the agenda number 3, the resolution authorizing the preparation of a compilation, revision, or codification of the municipal ordinances of reversion. Paul came and met with me today and talked about, he wants to try to understand exactly what I was saying in the work meeting. And he and I talked about it, and, I think we want to put this off for a while. From what you and I were talking about earlier today.
Yes.
Okay, so we will not discuss this any further. Here's my, okay. You happy? Okay, next one down here, he is the one that I was concerned about with this ordinance where it was gonna go through, I believe, let's see. Residential, oh goodness, this was amending residential, rural residential, agricultural, commercial.
Highway resort zone.
Yeah, why did the highway resort zone as a separate section? I was trying to figure out why was highway resort zone a separate, not just included in the list above. Was saying any use not listed, so we were adding this sentence to all of these zones, saying any use not listed as permitted or conditional shall be deemed prohibited. But based on this new code, I don't think we can say that in the commercial zone or the highway resort zone. It seemed that we could, and Riker and I had a conversation about this yesterday, and he asked me to ask you. to address one of his questions, so let me pull up the code. So I can.
And you can go wrong. I thought that a few years back, that they said that you had to list permit, non-permitted, anything prohibited.
They would like you, they prefer that you list.
That is
And
ideal.
not the what?
That's
That's
the ideal.
That's the idea.
And that's what the
Because
legal
there's
state,
case law that came out, one out of West Valley City, that,
that's one specific.
basically spread it upon these one line catch-all, any use that's not prohibited, not listed as permitted or conditional is deemed prohibited. However, in reality, what, our appellate court thought was wise to, speak negatively about, they didn't completely abolish it, and they didn't, we have not had anything in, recent legislation trying to codify that. And, it is next to impossible to identify every prohibited use. And so what I've heard in discussions at the Utah Municipal Attorneys Association meetings is to keep it in there. Now, that being said, we've got this new, which was adopted in not the regular session, but in the most recent special session, it goes into effect.
Already went to that.
Went into effect on the 6th.
So the way the league said it back then, and because I remember it stays in my brain, because I know we've always tried to say, if it's not listed, it's prohibited.
So the ideal thing is put as many of the prohibited uses specifically as you can.
That's what they said, they said,
And then have.
and then have this, they wanted, so like, it was specific to a certain use.
Yeah.
And
I think
it
the
said,
majority of your
if
municipal.
you don't want it, you either need to prohibit it or set standards so strict they can't use it. And it has to be any designated area for it. There's specific businesses.
So there are, based on that, you see some municipalities that have more than just a permitted and a conditional section, they have a permitted with conditions. And that's where they put specific conditions on certain types of uses.
Like an
I don't know
SLB.
what's the difference between a permitted with conditions and a conditional use.
Because we've got, okay, I'll tell you what the difference is that, in a conditional use situation, you guys can craft the conditions unique to that specific property and request. In a permitted with conditions, there's a standard set of conditions that apply to every time that use
Okay.
is
And
requested.
that's like,
And
they
they
were
don't-
specific to S, they were specific to S.
So you don't get to craft,
That we don't want.
on a site-specific basis.
Okay, so with this in mind, what Riker was concerned about was, I didn't write down and I didn't record what he said. I remember what he said. He was concerned about where we allow residential use in the commercial zone. And then, how this also would apply to like home occupations. He was concerned about business in the residential area, and then, because we don't allow businesses in the residential area, yet we allow home occupation. So, do we, because it says at the very end, each municipality shall amend each land use ordinance that contains a list of approved or prohibited business uses to include a reference to the process for petitioning to approve a new or unlisted business use as described above. So we allow home occupation, so do we have to put this in the residential zone? This, where it says that each land use ordinance that contains a list of approved or prohibited business uses must include a reference to this. So do we have to go into every zone and say, here's this process? Because if we do that, then all of a sudden we've got business getting a foot in the residential zone, which we don't want.
But
Not
business,
necessarily.
in my mind, home occupation is different from a business in that you don't have. public
That's exactly where I was going with this.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Online
read the
business.
definition of business
Right.
in our, in Title 16, our land management section of our town code. We got the definition of business and we have a definition on
Home occupation.
home occupation.
Okay, so,
Plus, we always have the option to deny it too. This is just,
well,
this
yes, I,
is just a process that they go through.
Right.
he was just concerned, do we have to put this, do we have to make this reference in the residential zone since we allow home occupations? And, but then he was also.
I think we need to, clarify one thing in the definition of home occupation. It says any occupation or business use, and it probably just needs to say any use, full or part-time conducted within a dwelling. Just take out business, and we may want to even in the definition of business indicate, add an additional sentence there that says a home occupation is not a business.
So like a salon would not be a business. Selling
It's
baked
not
goods out of my
constitute a
home would
business.
not be a business. Cause they do their salons, like the.
However, we need to think that's
Their
true.
salon.
Right.
I'd say, okay, from a business licensing
That's what I'm saying.
perspective.
That's what I'm saying.
Are we
You don't
trying to
wanna-
loophole?
You have to think about the businesses that are actually in a home, like there's a salon, there's salons,
Right.
there's bake out of my home business. There's online businesses of all kinds and there's not limited, there's all kinds. And I think it should be more limited. Not to necessarily say, take business out of it, cause the salon is a business.
So wouldn't it be easier just to create this procedure and then in all the zones, we reference this procedure. So
Well, that's what he was asking, do we really do this in all zones, even the residential
do
zones?
it in all zones. Because we are gonna have, if the good neighbor policy passes, that's gonna be kind of a mixed use too. So you just do it in all zones, and when you get to, this comes up to the residential, unless it's not related to an occupational use that we would believe is a home occupation, we just deny it.
So, but here's my little devil's advocate in that, this world. Occupations at home change all the time.
Right.
And it's because people, especially after COVID, everybody just changed. You wouldn't believe how many people that I can name that just have a business in their home because they don't want to go to work. And they vary from anything from a salon to just something that's strictly on my financial advising.
Yeah.
And there's a whole, it's wide open.
Well, what you're
So
looking
you don't
at,
wanna pigeonhole people who are making money.
what you're looking at is prohibiting the impact where you got people coming to the house.
Right, that's what I'm saying, you've got to, and a home occupation actually mentions something about, this is back when we were writing business licenses, so please correct me if I'm wrong. When you have a home occupation, it limits the amount of people you're allowed, the traffic you're allowed to have coming in and out of your home. I think it's already pretty much done for us in the ordinance, so we don't have to take out business so much as we need to say, reference home occupation by itself, but not take out the word business, I don't think.
Yeah, that's,
If you look at 161202, 161204, which is the home occupation sections in our code. There is an attempt to say has to be licensed, has to comply with the definition, and it cannot generate pedestrian or vehicular traffic in excess of that customarily associated with the zone in which it is located. The home occupation shall not alter the residential character of the premises or create a public nuisance.
See, and that's why I think we've already got it covered.
So we can deny the use if somebody doesn't.
Cause one is like, so if I'm gonna, there's massages in a home, and we do have some masseuses in our area. And there are also people who say, hey, I'm gonna do a little tiny mechanicing business, so bring me your truck and I'll get it in there. So there's, I think this covers it, because it says excess. And we're just thinking, home mechanics, only gonna have
Okay,
4 or 5 cars
So,
on
so I,
maybe.
I think we're all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
So, Riker's working on the ordinance. He's working on it, that's why when he and I were talking yesterday, he said, oh, ask Heath, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, fine.
okay,
So, but meanwhile, with this ordinance, all we have to do, if I understand right, is delete the section that refers to the commercial zone. Just delete that. So on section 1, so page 2, line 49. We would just delete and chapter 40.10 commercial zone. One.
why are we?
Why are we doing-
Because this ordinance is saying any use not listed as permitted or conditional shall be deemed prohibited.
Yes,
Yet we now have to do this whole procedure about business uses, and people come into the commercial zone and they want to do a use. If it's not listed, they come into the scope of
they gotta go through the process, they get approved, and then it becomes a permitted or a conditional use. It's a way to get a permitted, as I understand this section, it's a way to create a list, a use that's not already on the list, to add it to the list.
So maybe don't get rid of the commercial, just make it another section on its own and change the wording to say, reference this process. Like that
When Riker comes up with the ordinance, he's gonna have his own.
yeah,
He's coming up.
We're still gonna have a list of permitted
Yeah.
conditions.
Yeah.
But under permitted. And possibly you can put wording under the conditional section of list of uses that says that pursuant to, that you can request, and here's the process, to have an additional use added to this section.
So even though, so we'll go ahead and add this, any use not listed as permitted or conditional shall be deemed prohibited. We'll have that on there, but people can still come in here and say, hey, I'm submitting a classification request pursuant to this.
And if we deny it.
Saying it's not-
It's not listed, so it's prohibited.
Okay, or we say, sure.
Yeah,
And then we'll add it. Okay.
if we add it, then it's.
Okay, so then I will put this on the agenda for next month for us to vote on. Okay. So this will be voted on, and that just leaves, the last topic. So this came up. There is this, canyon, it's called a canyon to canyon mural project. And we have been asked, so if you guys looked at all at the documents that I uploaded today to share SharePoint. Here is a map showing the location where this, wall is going to be, that is going to have this mural on it. And,
There's gonna be mural panels, though.
All along, all the way up
All
the
along.
line,
Yeah.
where?
all the way up the line.
No, no. That is not what this is saying. This picture is the wall. This picture here, guys, is the wall that will be divided into panels. Is what- Depicting the canyon. And so this next picture, another picture showing where this wall is located, that is where the murals will be. And this is along the path, this is along the bike path. This is behind,
It's River Road, isn't that?
so there's 20
Riverside Drive, and that's where those
There's going to be
businesses.
20 panels
On this wall, and this wall is staying where it's at.
It's staying where it's at.
Okay, and then.
And this is back behind, I believe, the convention center. If you see the convention center, there's a path that goes
Riverside
along.
Drive,
And this is where they're talking about.
this is River, I think this is Riverside Drive.
It
And I
says
think this is
Riverside.
where those businesses are that are the two-story businesses where Crumpets used to be and all of that.
So this be something to look at when I ride my bike.
Yes.
Yes, and you ride back there on that road.
So what they're looking for is, what they are asking, the person who is behind this project is asking for each of the communities to, help with the section that is your community. So on this, the very, very last page of what you have in your, this handout, the very last
The
page
locations.
gives the, what is to be covered in that panel. So Virgin actually has two panels.
We just volunteer on it, see if one.
The Virgin, no, they have it all laid out. This thing explains everything. What they really want is, what do you want us to design, and would you contribute, if anybody in your town would like to contribute to painting this, but, they're looking for help, but they would like $2,000, from the towns. Or just to cover paint.
For each panel.
For each panel. Okay. So, it covers the paint that's necessary, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, were you wanting to say something, Darlene, or?
So the painters would be volunteers.
Yes. The painters would be volunteers, and they'll ask us for a design, like, for example, I can tell you what immediately popped in my head when I was talking to them. So it has Laverton Overlook, panel 15 is from Laverton Overlook Road to Pocketville Road. So if there was a panel depicting from Laverton Overlook to Pocketville Road, I was picturing Sheep Bridge, bridge with the sheep going over it.
And the flying monkey.
And the flying monkey. I was speaking of Perkin Mesa with maybe somebody coming down with a, not necessarily a monkey.
Well, I just,
I was thinking that's what-
the monkey would be great.
Well, Perkin Mesa, that's what I'm saying.
Technically, so it's.
Well, Okay, and then, the river. And then when you get to the next section, which is Pocketville Road to Duncan's Retreat, I was picturing we could have, you've got, Red Bull Rampage. And so besides on Sheep Bridge Road, where you've got a sheep that would be going over the bridge, I was picturing some bikers coming behind because of the.
Oh, that would be
bike road, the bike races
Could
out
we-
there.
Could we put it out, I mean, Crazy Idea, why don't we just put it out and say, hey, if you have a design and you would want to paint and be involved with.
It's, it has, there's a deadline, there's a deadline. So it's not much that would be able to, so planning and approvals. Finalized site permission design framework, the end of November, then designer and sponsor recruitment is next month. And, so I mean, this is gonna move fast. And they start doing the surface in January.
So what would we do? They wanna know if we want money.
They wanna know, do we want to contribute to this? And
And
then
then-
for Virgin, we would have two panels.
So how would we get someone to do a sketch for us? I'm not.
$4,000. That would be $4,000 plus $2,000 per panel. But so.
Or are they gonna design it for us? if
If,
we
or
don't
they're,
submit?
if we say we don't wanna be involved, they'll come up with whatever they want, they're gonna paint it, and we get, and whatever they choose to represent Virgin is what's gonna be on that.
Well, the designs don't have to be done until, I mean, it's still close, but don't have to have those done until December 15th. We could put out a questionnaire, maybe not who wins the competition, but somebody that maybe find out maybe more.
That's not much time.
That's not much time.
It's not, but maybe
Well, that's
somebody
fine.
wants to do
That's
it.
why I said this idea popped in my head right away with Sheep Bridge, with sheep being herded over it, bikers coming behind because they're biking, Perkin Mesa Test Facility. Over here, you've got Co-op Terrace Road going up to the Co-op, and it's the same kind of Red Bull Race.
From them an extension on time to submit a design.
I can
We
add.
need a rock crawler on the wall, the one that's tiny like that.
So the question is, do we want to participate? That's the question. And that's why it's on here as
Are they
urgent.
gonna read
Yeah.
urgent participation, never goes away? Are they gonna keep repainting it? Are resealing it so it doesn't go away?
Yeah, I don't know, for this season.
Seems like a lot to contribute if it's just gonna, I mean, $4,000.
It's just finishing and sealing is what they want.
So how long is the finishing gonna last though? That's my, like, the durability.
Doesn't say.
So it says designers may collaborate with panel sponsors to integrate ideas or imagery relevant. So we
So
would
if
be
we
a
want,
panel
if we
sponsor.
want to dictate the panel content, we pay for the panel.
And if
But
we
it
don't,
does say up there earlier that, panel sponsors may include local businesses, civic organizations, or individuals. It doesn't even technically say the municipality itself, but
We have to, yeah, fill out and hustle money, I guess.
but the whole point was to try and for the people to write along to get a vision of the area. And my expectation after talking with the mayors of Rockland and Springdale is that we could come up with a unified idea from, we're gonna look all the way to Springdale, we could come up with a unified thing, like how we would include the river in the design, and whatever, we can make it on the loads, so.
Yeah, so it matched.
Yeah.
Darlene's got a
Yes.
comment.
Yes.
So I was looking at that graphic, and am I correct in that Virgin is the only person who would have to be charged twice? Or maybe we could only be charged once.
Well, I can ask them if they thought $2,000 worth of paint
Right,
would
that's
cover
what it-
both.
That's what
would
it
cover
does
both.
look like. Laverkin as well, though.
Yeah, some places.
Laverkin's got two as well.
Yeah. We're not, I mean, we're even compared to the Mercury, we're huge.
And I will, sorry, but this is gonna have a very limited audience.
Yes, yes, I agree.
I agree it is,
Yeah,
but it
probably never
and
see
how
it.
long will it last?
Right.
It is used a lot, that show,
There's a lot. Every time I ever drive down that road,
It's a
there's
lot.
people on that road.
Yeah.
There's people on that road.
Mostly,
St. George.
St. George use.
Yes.
I do use it, I've driven.
You like that? Okay.
We go for walks on it when I'm at my sister's house, we'll go out and go for walks on it.
So,
I run past it about 3 times a week.
you love what?
So for our attorney, we need to paint that wall, because he needs something to look at.
Yeah, look, he's out right.
Notice
Okay.
on section 9, it says, under Project Legacy, it says that it will serve as a photo destination, an educational feature, and a symbol of unity across the southern Kentucky.
It's kind of a
So,
tourist.
so they think like, oh, maybe there's a field trip to it, maybe people are stopping there to take pictures.
I'm a finance secretary, I'm not gonna think of a field trip for that.
I mean, I think it's great, it's just the timeline is so quick.
So tight. Yes, it's very quick, but, that's why I stuck it on our agenda. I found out about it.
So the question is, do we care if they just paint what they want on there, because it's not going to be ugly, because they want it to be a tourist destination. I'll just throw that out.
There's that, but at the same time, I mean, I would like to have a say in what the version.
Now, if they were etching it in and it was cloning like that, I would, yeah.
Maybe we'll compromise and just be one panel.
So the question is, do you pay $4,000 for the own design?
Perfect.
That's kind of my point.
Because
It's
they're gonna-
gonna happen no matter what.
They're gonna have to no matter what.
We're gonna have to pay $4,000 for us to have a say.
Well, I think a lot of people don't know these things about.
Exactly, they don't know these things about.
But for $4,000, I think we could have a wall built by our sign down here, Desert Gardens. And we could have our local artists
We could do our own.
volunteer to paint it with a beautiful sheet and vibrators, yours to just.
There you go.
Well, we can just not be opposed. I can tell you that the other Rockville and Springdale, I'm sure they're in.
Springdale has a lot.
They're in, they're gonna coordinate with Z Arts to, manage.
My really frugal body says it's a lot of money.
I would-
I
What
like
I'm
your
saying-
idea, Steve.
Etch it in
No, just
for our own.
build our own walls, we come into town with, I like that.
Who would stop at a sign with a beautiful mural that said Virgin. I mean, think of not just the people that know how beautiful our area is, but people, there's a joke about the Utah having the names. It is all, they have so many followings that people come and they travel this route because there's Tokerville and Virgin, and they have the funniest names in Utah.
There's some people out there all the time taking pictures, they're gonna take a picture
If we
from.
wanna put ourselves on the map, that's how you do it. If not, you just let it go, let them do their own.
I really like that. We have a competition as to what that would look like.
Too bad we don't have Eagle Scouts, they could have done it for us.
Who do I give this to, the resolution?
You get that to,
Motion to adjourn, is that what you want?
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Crystal, you stop the recording.
Look at I was looking on that, in my last name.